What is going on, boys and ghouls? Welcome back to another edition of the Ghoulfriends podcast. I am your lovely pumpkin queen host, Alana, accompanied by my lovely, lovely co-host, Jamie. Tonight, we're going to be talking about hidden gem movies, a personal favorite of mine that I finally got Jamie to watch, so stick around. We're gonna cut it a little bit short tonight because, we have to be adults and do responsibilities tomorrow. So,
yeah.
Otherwise, stick around. And if you have any hidden gem horror movies that you would like us to check out or like us to discuss, comment down below. Without further ado, let's get into it. Also, my cup I got in Halloween City, and it says "Killing It Since 1963," and it has Michael Myers on it.
Nice. I like it.
Hell yeah.
I just have a energy drink.
See, for those of you watching who do not know me and Jamie, we can drink energy drinks or coffee at any time of night and still go right to sleep.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does, because most people are like, oh my God, I'm so energized. I'm just like, I feel nothing.
Right. But at the
Yeah.
same time, if we don't have the caffeine, then we're just dragging,
Yep.
So at this point, it's just like a thing to function.
Yeah, pretty much. Love that.
Yeah. But yes, please, if you guys have any hidden gem horror movies that you know of, please list them in the comments, so because I'm always on the lookout for new ones, especially ones that aren't very well heard of but are good and need that viewership.
Hell yeah. Same here. So the first movie I want to discuss, this is why I don't play drums, this is why I play string instruments anyway, is Brainscan. Brainscan, for those of you who do not know, is a 1994 sci-fi horror movie starring Edward Furlong and T. Ryder Smith. The movie opened to lukewarm box office reviews. It was a limited release in '94 at the height of Edward Furlong's career. For those of you who are not familiar, he played John Connor in T2, and he also played Jeff in Pet Sematary 2, both before Brainscan. So what I find very interesting about this movie, and spoiler alert, if you have not seen it, I recommend you click out now. What I find interesting is right from the get-go, you see the character's backstory. And it focuses on a lonely teenage boy. He pretty much lives alone in his father's mansion, and you'll hear his father briefly in the movie. His father is always away on business, so this kid pretty much lives alone in his attic. His mother passed away, and he doesn't have any friends at school. He has one friend named Kyle, and Kyle calls him one night and tells him about this new interactive video game called Brainscan. And what Brainscan is it's like the ultimate in interactive terror. And it pretty much pulls whoever's playing it into the game, and they have to commit a string of murders for the main antagonist, who's known as the Trickster, which is T. Ryder Smith. What's interesting about T. Ryder Smith is that was his first movie role. I don't know if you knew that. Yes, he mostly did stage productions prior to that, so that was his first major film role. Frank Langella is also in it. For those of you who know him, he's in a bunch of movies. I didn't realize the amount of movies he was in either.
Which one is he? Oh, he's the
detective.
Homicide detective. Yes. Yeah, and I've seen him in so many things, but he's one of those actors that it's like, oh, I know him, but I don't know from where, but I know him from like several places.
Right, and you're like, well, I don't know his name, but I just know he's an actor. Yeah. So what I find interesting is how I found Brainscan, and then I in turn poisoned Jamie with it. Not really. What was interesting to me was when I was in high school, I went through this huge Edward Furlong phase. I watched every single movie he was in: Animal Factory, Pecker, Detroit Rock City, American History X, Little Odessa. You name it, I watched it. I was obsessed with that man. Anyway, but the one that always stood out to me was Brainscan because it's so different. And it's so 90s. Like the graphics in it are so 90s, but
yeah, they are.
It's good. It's good. Like it pulls you in. And I actually have something super cool to show you. I got this from Discount Cemetery. Shout out them. They have a brain stand line of merchandise. And with every purchase of their brain stand merchandise, you get your very own brain stand floppy disk.
Oh, that is so cool. Oh,
Hell
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Hell yeah. So shout out Discount Cemetery. I doubt they'll see this, but shout out to them. And if you like horror merch, check them out because you may get a free floppy disk.
Not that any of us have computers anymore that can run a floppy disk, but
right. It's a tool decoration.
Cool thing to have. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jamie, what was your thought on brain stand?
So, like we said before, there are going to be spoilers. It's kind of inevitable with this podcast, but so, be warned. I did find it a teensy bit predictable, just because there's one part before too much happens, and he has like this episode where he like seizes in his chair and there's the big light above him and stuff.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, he's already in it. Because it's like, otherwise, what the fuck was that? Like, did lightning strike his house? Like, no, So it's kind of obvious that shit's already happening. He's already in it. However, the final twist that comes at the end, I did not see coming. And I really liked that. I was surprised when you told me that it was the guy that played Trickster. It was his first movie role because he did really well. And I loved him because he played a bad guy that you don't want to like, but you really, really like.
Oh my god, I know. Yo, I love the scene with the rotisserie chicken. He's just sitting there eating the fucking chicken. He's just like, hey, Mike. Like he's just chilling. And then he puts on like the Primus record and he starts dancing. I'm like, you know what? He's the guy you love to hate.
Right. Yes. And we don't get bad guys like that very often. We got it with Negan in The Walking Dead. And it's just like, he's this guy you want to hate. He killed some of your favorite characters. But goddamn, is he fucking funny. You know? So it's kind of the same with Trickster, because it's like, oh my god, you're horrible, and you killed this wonderful character that I loved, but he's forever. But it's still like, oh, Trickster, you funny bastard.
Yeah, right? Oh my god, I have to tell you though, I think the saddest part was like, right after Kyle and Michael have that fight, and he petitions the horror club to get reinstated. He just writes on it, "Buddies forever," and I was like, "Oh, Kyle."
And what I really liked about that movie was it kind of normalized male friends loving each other, and it not being weird or awkward. Like at the end, he's like, "I love you, man," and it's like, yeah, more of that. It was so sweet. Yeah.
But I did tell you, speaking of the ending, the Trickster Michael fight scene is so cringy because it's so 90s.
Yeah.
It is so 90s. Like the graphics and everything, it is so 90s. But you don't expect what happens at the very, very end. And again, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, again, I recommend you click out now. But what I always thought was really funny was how fucking Michael hated Fromberg, and then he was just like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna give you brain stand. Here you go. But I love.
Oh yeah.
But I loved Michael's episode where like, at the very end when the brain stand disc is over, and they're like, we offer these simple relaxation techniques to calm you down. He said, why don't you try these fucking relaxation techniques? And he proceeds to destroy his whole fucking room that Daddy will pay for him to get a new one. But anyway, love Igor, his answering system. I love him.
I know, I love that. I want that. Yeah, I want an Igor.
I know. He's like, Igor, dial 1-800-555-FEAR. But technically speaking, as much as I love Kyle, it is kind of his fault that Michael gets himself in that predicament in the first place.
Yeah.
But also, technically speaking, you never physically see Michael order the disc. It just shows up. Like, he dials the phone number, but it just shows up.
I thought he did, though. I thought when he first calls them, and
and he goes, "I'm sorry, I thought you were a machine." And
right.
then he says, "Look, R2D2, how do you expect me to," or whatever, or something like that. But there's a part where he says, "I didn't order this." When he's going through his mail, he's flipping through.
Oh.
And he says, "I didn't order this." So it just shows up. So it's like, it's almost like Trickster found him.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. And it makes you wonder at the very end when he sees Trickster, even though he's no longer in the game, it makes you wonder, so is Trickster just like scarred into his brain now? Because, you know, adverse effects of new technology that no one totally understands the repercussions of, or is Trickster really a thing?
Right. But, you know, when he passes the game along to Frombird, and then he sees Trickster sitting in Frombird's desk, you're kind of like,
that's what I mean,
okay,
yeah.
So maybe Trickster is real and wasn't in Michael's imagination. But they had room to do a sequel there where Frombird is the one in the game. They had room to do that, and I wish they would have, because I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. They're going to say, oh, she's a final girl. Kimberly is a fucking bitch. Okay? She is a bitch. And she only, you know, but what I find interesting is when Michael comes out of the game and Kimberly actually does like him back, and he's like, oh shit, like, I just tried to kill you, but you like me back?
Yeah, but she doesn't know that.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I also always thought the scene where Trickster calls that guy when Michael's in his yard, he's just like, this is a concerned citizen. I always thought that was hilarious. Yeah, he's like, I believe there's an intruder in your yard, and the guy goes, who is this? He goes, a concerned citizen. I fucking love Trickster, man. You know, and then when he's just like spinning the disc on his nail, and he's just like, play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just spinning it around, and then fucking when he goes, they could dig out my eyes. He just puts his nails in his hand and he breaks his fingers. I'm like, dude, like, you're a little over the top there, Trickster. But
oh my god, yeah. And then he said, that bit about like, but if they make me listen to country music, I can't help you.
Every man has his limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I can respect that.
Yeah.
There's only so much torture a person can take.
Yeah, and then he proceeds to put on Welcome to This World by Primus, which I love Primus, don't get me wrong, but like, that is such a weird song to put on. And he just goes, from the top of the charts to a space in your heart. Like, dude, like, it's like I said, that's the moment where he's like the guy you love to hate. And then I love / hate when he tells him that Kyle's dead, and he's just standing there, he just opens up Michael's fridge, and just goes, you got anything to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so, like, okay, sorry I just made you massacre your best friend. Got any food in your house?
Right.
Yeah.
But I was so surprised that I had never even heard of that movie before. Because even though it's got the cheesy 90s effects, I mean, for its time, it was on par with other movies in their effects.
Yeah.
But it was good. And Edward Furlong, like, he was, I mean, even just after T2, you would think that
he was decently big.
They would try to sell it like, oh yeah, you know, same dude, different movie.
Yeah.
And try to boost it that way.
Yeah, he was decently big at that time. So it's very shocking that it didn't get. I think it's because aside from him and Frank, I don't know if it's Langella or Langella. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. Not that he'll ever see this, but I think that, you know, considering him and Edward are the two biggest stars in that movie, maybe it's because the rest of the cast was almost virtually nobody's, because the guy who plays Kyle, he was actually only in a Pepsi commercial prior.
Oh.
And T. Ryder Smith, who plays Trickster, he was only ever in theatrical productions, much like Estelle Getty. We'll get into that on another segment. But an interesting thing is, for those of you who do not know who Estelle Getty is, she plays Grandma Estelle on Stuart Little, and of course, my favorite, Sophia on The Golden Girls. R.I.P. Estelle Getty. But anyway, she started off in stage 2, which to me, I've always thought that it's very interesting how sometimes these actors who start off on stages, they just go right into the movies, but they do like one or two huge movies or one or two huge shows and you never hear from them again.
I think that's probably because they probably, this is just a guess, that they probably didn't like the movie scene, because the movie scene is very different from the theater scene. You know, you're dealing with different kinds of people you've never worked with before.
Right.
And then just the whole production itself, it's very, very different.
And and as somebody who's done theater, you know, a lot of times I feel like it would be like a culture shock for me too, because a lot of times when you're doing theater, you are used to that audience. You know that audience is sitting there. When you're making a movie, unless you're doing like the Golden Girls did, which is why Estelle kind of stayed, you know, on par with her theater as she did with her movies and her TV shows, is because they filmed the Golden Girls in front of a live studio audience.
Right.
So when they do that, then, you know, you have these actors and actresses from theatrical backgrounds who say, okay, you know, I'm kind of familiar with this. The only difference is now we have cameras going.
Yeah. Well, another hidden gem I wanted to talk about is a movie that came out just a few years ago, I think, called The Empty Man. And
okay, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not your typical horror movie. So the beginning of it, you're introduced to these characters, and so they're on a hike in like the Himalayas or something, and they stumble upon this weird underground altar crypt thing, and then all this weird shit happens, and they get snowed in at this mysterious cabin, and it's like this whole mini story, and then shit goes down, and then the title screen comes in, and it's like, oh my god, that was just the beginning. Like, these aren't even our main characters. It's just setting the scene and the lore for the Empty Man and what the Empty Man is. And it's very philosophical and psychological. I don't think I've ever watched a horror movie that was so philosophical before, and it's one of those, I have to go back and rewatch it because it kind of blew my mind. Yeah, it's really good and creepy.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Because I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. So I'm going to have to check that out now.
Yeah.
But a hidden gem, I think you were the one who told me you saw this movie. I could be wrong. I forget who it was. Another hidden gem that I love, and they used to play it on Sci-Fi all the time for their 31 Nights of Halloween. However, I have not seen it in a while, and I can't find it on any streaming services, is My Soul to Take.
Yes!
Wes Craven's second to last movie before Scream 4. Love that movie.
It did not get enough credit. It was very, very good. It didn't.
Oh, yeah. And for those of you who do not know, the guy who plays the brother in Bates Motel is the main character in My Soul to Take. My Soul to Take is, as I said, Wes Craven's second to last movie, which R.I.P. Wes Craven. Fucking love him. Love his work. But Scream 4 was his last technical movie. But before Scream 4, My Soul to Take came out. And it's interesting because My Soul to Take was also released in theaters in 2010. And I was old enough, and Jamie was old enough to remember 2010. I don't remember ever hearing about that movie until I saw it on TV.
No, I don't even remember seeing that it was in the theaters at all. Yeah. I didn't see it until I was in college at the time. It was probably like 2011, 2012.
Yeah. That was around when I saw it, because like I said, right after it came out of the theater, Sci-Fi started playing it for their 31 Days of Halloween. And that's how I saw it. But I haven't seen them play it recently in the past like 2-3 years, and I also can't find it on any streaming services. But if anybody out there can hunt down My Soul to Take, let me know. I fucking love that movie. And again, here come spoilers. For those of you who have not seen it, click out now. Anyway, My Soul to Take is basically about, we start off, we see this serial killer, and his name is Abel Plankoff. And he is killed on the same night that 7 kids are born at the exact same time in this town. Jamie, you take it from here.
So, when after he's killed, all these babies are born, and then it flashes forward to what, like 15, 16 years later, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's the anniversary of his death, and I forget what they're called, the something 7. Or maybe they're just called the 7. It's been a while since I've seen it, but...
Yeah, me too. It's something 7, but it's Alex, Dunkelman, Bud, and then Bud has a sister named Fang, which, okay, I can say, as much as I love that movie and love Wes Craven, those names are really unnecessary. Anyway, really unnecessary. There is some bad dialogue in between here and there. Like, there's a scene where Fang goes, wake up and smell the Starbucks. Like, I'm sorry, Wes, I love you. May you rest in peace. But what were you thinking with that? Anyway, it's Bud, Alex. Is it Tyrone, the blind kid?
Maybe. Honestly, I don't remember any of their names other than like
the blonde guy,
the main ones.
Girl, the blonde guy, the blonde girl,
the religious girl,
and the other one. And then Fang is thrown in the mix because you find out later that she's actually Bud's sister.
Right, older sister.
But they don't say that at first. At first, you don't see that. But when Abel Pointhoff is killed, you do see a little girl. So that kind of sets the scene for it, but you don't know that he is her brother.
Right. And so what ends up happening 16 years later is the 7 start getting picked off one by one. And you come to find out... Right, everyone thinks it's Bug because he's a little out there. He's a little weird, but he's like a sweet, nice dude.
And his father was Abel Pointhoff, if you haven't picked up what we were putting down by now. But he doesn't know that. He doesn't find that out till later on in the movie either.
Yes, and then you come to find out that the killer is his best friend, who is one of the 7. And it's kind of like a Voldemort Horcrux kind of thing going on, in that, like...
The soul of the serial killer was transferred into Alex.
Yes, and then he killed all the 7 to, like, absorb their souls or something of that nature. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but it is good. If you're craving that kind of... It wasn't made in the 90s, as we said, but it's got that 90s horror feel, like Scream. I mean, it's Wes Craven, of course.
I mean,
but it's got that vibe.
Yeah. In addition to that, with most of Wes Craven's movies, like Last House on the Left, I mean, I don't like the content of Last House on the Left, but I do love the Revenge of the Parents. Good for them, bro. Fucking good for them.
I never saw it.
The original is better than the remake. The remake is brutal. I hate the remake. But Last House on the Left is basically like a revenge type movie. It's about this. For anybody who's seen it, you'll know. But Jamie, I'm going to ruin it for you. It's about this girl who she is raped and murdered on her 17th birthday by a group of serial killers and rapists. And it ends up that the serial killers somehow wind up at her parents' house, and her parents find out through the son of the guy who killed her that they were the ones that attacked their daughter. So the parents plot their revenge, and they like cut off the guy's like dick, and they just go like balls to the wall. I'm like, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for those parents. But anyway, but as with all Wes Craven movies, he has very spooky undertones, and that's what My Soul to Take has, because the movie itself, like just the vibe, is eerie.
Yes. And it kind of brings that fan theorizing deal into it of like, is Alex just schizophrenic, or is he actually being possessed by the serial killer spirit? Like, they don't fully explain it, and I kind of like that because it leaves it open to interpretation.
Yeah, because at the very end, again, spoilers, click out now. If you're still here, you should pretty much know what to expect. Anyway, because at the very end, when Bud does kill Alex, Bud is kind of like, Fang keeps saying I'm a hero, and, to relish in it. So it kind of sounds like Bud has some of his father's tendencies, because even though he had to kill Alex, he didn't have a choice. He's kind of like, well, Fang says I'm a hero, but I don't think I'm a hero. Or some shit like that. And, Alex talks about how, he's abused by his stepfather, and then he kills him and all this shit. So you wonder, is Alex a product of his environment? Like you said, is he schizophrenic? Is he possessed? And you don't find out what his problem is until the end of the movie, till the final climax. And the only reason Bud finds out is because he catches Alex sneaking in his window.
Yeah.
Like, hello? Like, if you're trying to be low-key, like, hello? But the thing I will never quite grasp is why all of a sudden Fang is like up Bud's ass when she finds out he's not the Ripper, because she thought he was the Ripper. Everybody thought he was the Ripper.
Poor Bug.
So yeah, I mean, and Matt's theory, he's in like I said, Bates Motel, and I think Jumper too. Unless that's a guy from Final Destination. Sometimes I get those two confused. Don't ask me why. But he is an attractive dude. Okay.
Now, like, which one is he?
He plays Bug. Have you seen the Bates Motel series too?
Nah.
Okay, he plays Dylan.
Okay.
Norman Bates' brother.
Okay.
Anyway, good show. But yeah, but you know, and fucking he's an attractive dude, and you're just like, damn, why is it always the hot ones that are psychotic? Like Billy Loomis.
Yes. Yeah.
Billy Loomis.
It's just not fair.
Like, it's not, like, oh my god. And fucking Josh Hartnett in The Faculty. Zeke, that's his character's name, Zeke.
Yeah.
He's fucking psychotic too. I'm sorry. I know he's a hero and all, but he's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Let's just call him a damn shovel.
He's a drug dealer.
Yeah. Yeah, and he makes his own drugs that you put in a pen. Like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna sit there and just be like, this is an eraser, by the way. That was just perfect that this was sitting on my keyboard.
So Chelsea just said that My Soul to Take is on Shudder. I don't know if you have Shudder. Yes.
I do have Shudder.
There you go.
Just add that?
I don't know.
Ooh, if they just added it, I know what I'm watching tomorrow before or after work. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. I don't have to be at work till later tomorrow, so I could stay up. So
nice.
Yeah.
Another hidden gem that a lot of people I talk to, even ones that love horror movies, have never heard of, is called Dead Birds. And so Dead Birds.
I have seen that. Yeah.
Oh, you did watch it?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So there's not, again, it's another movie that there aren't a whole lot of well-known actors in.
Right.
The guy that plays Bobby in Sons of Anarchy, he's in it. And if you're an NCIS fan, the guy that plays Mike Franks, he's in it. And then that's it. Like, I don't recognize anyone else in it. And
let me cut you off right there for a second.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with My Soul to Take too, because all those actors are unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then it doesn't get a lot of traction. It doesn't get a lot of spotlight, which is such a shame because Dead Birds is creepy as hell. It takes place during the Civil War. Yeah. And it's these people that just go onto this farm that seems to be abandoned, and they're bank robbers. And so they're hiding out. And then all this weird shit starts to happen. They start seeing crazy demons and just what they experience. It's like, is this experience really happening to them or is it not? And then the ending is just, I still don't understand it. I've seen that movie several times and I'm still like, what? But it's like, good. It makes you think. Exactly. Again, it leaves it open to interpretation.
Exactly. And, you know, I feel like movies like that, you can kind of create your own theory. Like, as I said, like with Brain Scan, you can kind of create your own theory of what happened to Fromberg from there. Fromberg fucking lost his mind playing Brain Scan. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Dead Birds. You can theorize what happened. By the way, speaking of, it takes place during the Civil War. I just have to make this comment and say, no disrespect to American history, no disrespect to the Civil War, but you ever notice how anything you watch that has to do with the Civil War is creepy as hell? No matter what it is. It could be a documentary on the Civil War, and it's creepy as all hell.
I think it's just because there's so much death, and especially growing up, you know, in Pennsylvania near Gettysburg, and, you know, you have all the ghost stories and stuff. So I think it's also just kind of shoved into our minds of, like, you know, all the ghost stories and stuff as we grow up.
Yeah. Well, we are just about out of time. That is all I have for
we
today.
are, and yeah, it's actually perfect timing because those are all the hidden gem movies that I had. Well, there is one more. I mean, it was on Netflix for like 2 months, maybe several years ago. It was called Area 51, and it was yes, the documentary style one.
Yes,
and I've never seen it anywhere again since that. And like after I watched it, I went back like 2 weeks later to watch it again, and it was gone. It wasn't on Netflix anymore.
There was this movie that I saw also on Sci-Fi. I fucking love Sci-Fi and AMC and all those.
Same.
Yeah, but anyway, and it's yo, not even gonna lie, I thought that was your mannequin. I thought that was Debbie. I thought that was Debbie.
No.
But no, the one movie I have to say, and it was on Hulu for a while. Again, now the movie itself is kind of terrible because you don't get much of a backstory, but it's called The Curse of Downers Grove.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
It was on Hulu for a while last year, but I've never seen it anywhere else. It's about like this high school senior, and there's like this curse that kills one senior from every graduating class every year, and she's trying to break the curse, and you don't expect the plot twist at the end as to who the guy is that's doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, so check that out if you can. Because a lot of these movies, I feel like that they play on Sci-Fi and what used to be known as Chiller, if people remember Chiller.
Me too. Chiller.
Although I didn't like when they started playing the Friday the 13th series because I wasn't a fan of like the TV show. Like I loved the Friday the 13th franchise. I don't like the TV show.
I liked the TV show, but when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, cool, a Jason TV show," and it has nothing to do with Jason at all whatsoever. Yeah. So it threw me for a loop. But for the show itself and for its time, I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, teach their own. It was just something I never got into. Like, it would come on, I'd turn it off. But, Shudder kind of took the place of Chiller now. But I feel like the shows that were played when we were kids and the movies that were played, even as we were getting older, like I said, like, My Soul Odyssey came out in 2010. I feel like a lot of those shows that were played on Sci-Fi and Chiller and everything, nobody remembers them because they didn't get, because they had unknown actors and they didn't get this wide release, and it's sad because they're so fucking good.
Right, and it's not just the story that's good either. It's also the actors do an excellent job, and it's just such a bummer for them because, like, it's technically a B horror movie because it's not well known, but they did an amazing job. Like the whole cast and crew did an amazing job, but whatever.
See, and I got one more comment to say. Because first of all, my phone's almost dead. Second of all, we're over time. Anyway.
Yeah.
As much as I love the franchise, a lot of people don't know Halloween started off as a B movie. It was a low budget movie. It actually flopped in theaters. A lot of people don't know that because and I was just talking to my mom about this the other day. She said like when she was in high school, like when Halloween 2 came out, people said, "Oh God, another one!" Like it wasn't a big thing. And I used to work with people who, when the Halloween remake came out in 2018, they were like, I didn't even know there was an original. And the thing that has always struck me as interesting is what was it about Halloween that was also a B movie, like all the movies we mentioned, that it skyrocketed?
Yeah.
And, that's a question because Halloween has a very vague backstory. Like, you have a 6-year-old kid who murders his sister on Halloween for no reason. And then he tracks down his babysitter, who you later find out in Halloween 2 is his baby sister. But he was locked away in a sanitarium, and his doctor knew that he was evil, which, by the way, Sci-Fi used to play the version with deleted scenes. I just recently got it on DVD. So anybody watching, hit up Roy Damm, Damm, for the Mr. Sandman cut of Halloween 1 and 2. And it's Halloween 1 and 2 morphed together as one big movie. So where Halloween 1 ends... where Halloween 1 ends, it goes right into 2, and it has all the deleted scenes in it. I fucking love it. Anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah, I'll have to let you borrow it.
Definitely.
Yeah, because, like, you can't find the TV version anymore. They don't play it on TV anymore. But my question is, what skyrocketed Halloween? And it was all of a sudden, because you figure they got through Halloween 2, Season of the Witch, Return of Michael Myers, Revenge of Michael Myers, Curse of Michael Myers, H2O, Resurrection. But it didn't really start to catch on until after Resurrection, even before the Rob Zombie remake, like around 2004, 5-ish. That's when it started to catch on. So you wonder, what was it about Halloween that made it so different from all these other hidden gems that we've discussed? Because I can't figure it out. As much as I adore the Halloween franchise, what is it about that made it so different?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that Michael's backstory, like the logic behind it is very vague. And a lot of people, like, if you're not paying super close attention, you will miss it entirely. But I think it's just that kind of creepy aspect of, like, he can just not die and you're fucked. And, you know, it's just, there's a creepy element to that when the bad guy is not, like, there's no sense to him, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to flip my camera. Here, I'll do this. I have a huge Michael tapestry, so. And I have a Friday the 13th light, which that's another one. But what Friday the 13th had going for them, and I will end on this note, is they had Betsy Palmer. And, of course, Halloween had Donald Pleasance. Both of them were big-name actors of their time. Betsy Palmer despised Friday the 13th. She thought the script was a piece of garbage, but she needed to buy a new car. That's why she took on the role of Mrs. Voorhees.
Interesting.
She despised the script. There are literally interviews of her saying, "This is a fucking piece of shit. Nobody's ever gonna want to see this movie."
And now everyone loves it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I'm saying, what's different? Well, I think it's just because you can't kill the boogeyman. Actually, he's right there. But that's all I have for tonight because I really got to go before my phone dies.
Yes, all right. So if any of you guys have any other hidden gems that you would like to let us know about, please just list them in the comments below. And we will be back in like a week and a half with more spooky goodies.
Let us know what you want to see/hear for spooky season because the Halloween time is upon us. So let us know what topics you want us to cover. If you want more hidden gems, if you want more defending the villains, let us know in the comments below. I'm Alana.
And I'm Jamie.
Ghoulfriends.
Bye, guys.